Uh, Good afternoon, everybody. Have you had an amazing time? Come on. Great speakers. I know definitely I'm going to be losing weight because I took some of the recipes, some of the talks here. Need to lose the weight here. My name is Margaret Thorley. I'm an author. I am an author, but I'm also a great businesswoman. I love business. I'm the author of A Single Mother and the Dating Game. I wrote that because I got dumped by a text. So you know how that feels. Yeah, happened to me. I'm the author of 8 Tips to a Better Relationship. But what I'm going to speak to you about is from my latest book, Elephants in My Stomach. All right, instead of butterflies. It's interesting, isn't it? Interesting topic. What I'm going to speak about is about how I overcome fear. Fear and happiness. You see? Forgiveness is the key to happiness. And how do we get to forgive? How do we tap in to our happiness? How do we get there? For me, I used to carry a lot of grudges. I get angry very quickly, never knew why I get angry, and I never understood it. But however, when I start to look inside me, I begin to sort of learn what made me become angry quite quickly. You see, the thing about forgiveness, all of us want to forgive, but we just don't know how, because we've never been taught how to forgive. We were taught to say, time is the healer, but really, time is not the healer, because what we do is that we bury things down, because I did. I used to bury a lot of the stuff down. Because the things went in with pain, I then put a lot of concrete onto those things so they do not surface. But guess what? They do surface. But I had to learn to let go. So I'm going to tell you my journey, how I started to forgive. That's what happened to me. Unforgiveness. Unforgiveness is like you're carrying bricks on your back. You just don't realize how heavy they are. When you walk in bitterness, I did. When you walked in rejection, that's a heavy brick you're carrying. When you walk in broken promises, offenses, hurt, and broken marriages, and the rest of it, that is a lot to carry. And most time, you don't know how it comes out, how it affects the people around you, and how do you deal with it. I had to make up my mind to let go of my past, because I work with women who are already broken. So how can a broken person pick up another broken person? It can't work. So I had to let go and put the bricks down. And like somebody asked, who are you? I had to ask that question to myself. Who am I? Why am I so bitter? Why am I so angry? Why am I this? And then I decided I want to be a better person. And I took the journey to the road of forgiveness. It's a very, very lonely road. Because you see, it's only you can walk on that road. Nobody else but you, because you made the decision. What I needed to do to forgive those who have hurt me is I had to look inside me, what was inside me. And I read a book. This is when my journey started. I read a book about personal development. And one of the author was talking about forgiveness. And if you don't forgive, this happen. And when you forgive, this happen. And he did an exercise. And it's the most painful exercise. He said, write a list all the people that you have not forgiven. I think I did a massive 2, 3, 4 books of list of people. I'm like, oh my God. But the top person that I didn't forgive was my dad. All my life, I sort of wanted to impress my dad, even though he wasn't around, even though he didn't care. He didn't see what happened, but I wanted to impress him. You see, I come from an African background. This is what my dad used to do. He used to line all the children up, and he'll come and ask you, what do you want to become? Then somebody say, I want to become a doctor. What do you want to become? And then I always gone for the list of things. And I remember one saying, I want to be a nurse. And my dad looked at me, what? What? You're going to work under your sister who's going to be a doctor? And that just crushed me. Completely crushed me. So the first person I needed to forgive was my dad. Because for years I achieved greatly, but I felt I never did. Because I didn't get well done. My daughter, you've done really well. So what I did with the exercise, the man said, he said, write a list, write a letter to the person who have hurt you. You do not send the letter. Then after you wrote the letter, write a reply to the person hearing what they want to say to you. I wrote the first letter to my dad. I think I wrote 2 books. I cried, and I cried. And then I wrote the reply. But the reply was really less than a paragraph. And the paragraph was, I love you, my daughter. Well done. Those are the only things I ever wanted to hear from my dad. And then I went through the journey again and again. And I used the same. I was called to mentor, I'm a qualified mentor, a young lady who came in. And as I walked in, prepared the mentoring room, ready to go, she came in, she had the baggy top, everything. We sat there, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, she's not talking to me. And I said to her, for you to come out to see me, there is a reason that you are here. What would you like to talk about? She never answered, she never looked up. So I said, tell you what, in 2 weeks' time, I'll be back. I said, but I want you to write some things that you want us to talk about. 2 weeks later, she turned up. So I said, you're ready for help and support. She gave me this 4 or 5 handwriting papers. I looked at them, and I pushed it back to her. I said, you read it. I'm going to quickly paraphrase. You see, I couldn't understand what just took place because I've done that. So I say to her, okay, let's have a look at it, topic by topic. Then just to summarize it, I find out she was raped by the next door neighbor boy. But nobody believed her. Mom didn't believe her. The case was thrown out of court. So we went through the process that I went through, writing back and forth for 5 months. One day I came in, she was sitting down in the room, the baggy stuff are out, and I didn't recognize her. So I said, excuse me, miss, you're not supposed to be here. She looked at me, and I looked at her. I said, no, you're not supposed to be here. And she said, miss, you don't recognize me. I said, no, sorry, I don't. She said, I'm so and so. I said, wow. It changed. But you know what I gave her? The tool to forgive, the tool to let go whatever it was happening to her there and then. Do you know what? She went to university. So for me, I started to do that. And in the exercise, he said, stand up and speak out loud. Call the person's name and say, I forgive you. I call my Father's name time and time again. I forgive you. I forgive you. And the next key I needed to learn, I have to forgive Margaret. And sometimes we don't. We're so hard on ourselves. How many times you say, I'm so hard on myself. I used to tell people, please, you don't have to beat me. I can do that proper. I'll do that better than you can beat me. And we do that regularly. We do that regularly. So for me, that's my journey as coming off. And also another thing I learned, I need to see the changes inside me. Not the next person, me. And when I decided to change the way I think, the way I do things, the way I look at things, many years ago, I have things happen again and again and again, and I will say the word, oh, you won't believe it, that same thing has happened again. Guess what? My mentality is still in the past. But when I change that kind of thinking, I begin to be quite happy, quite relaxed with myself. Does forgiveness help? Does it truly work? It does. Because you see, when you truly forgive, you know the beautiful part of it? You will see the person who hurt you. And guess what? You will look at them, have a conversation with them, and you will still smile. Forgiveness, true forgiveness. You don't feel the pain. I'm not saying to you, you're not going to remember the act. You will remember it, but you don't feel the pain. That is true forgiveness. It's when you do not feel the pain anymore. And sometimes you find that person who have hurt you deeply, you end up working with that person. You end up helping that person. But guess what? When you're doing it, you're smiling. You are smiling, you're happy. For me, the best one, you know, baby fathers. We all know them, yeah? If you haven't got any, I can tell you about my one. The man disappeared. He disappeared. All right, holding the baby. And then, all right, okay. I know you ladies are relating, yes, yes. Baby fathers, yes. Can we forgive them? Yes, we have to forgive them. You see, another journey I had to take to forgive. You see, when you're in the shower, it's you in the shower and yourself in the mirror. And that's the true you. And I remember thinking about things he's done to me 9 years ago, going like a record on my head. You go to sleep, you think about him. He's moved on, mate. He's doing what he's doing. And why am I still thinking about him? Huh? What am I thinking? And that day I was so angry. I got up that morning. I was angry. I was fed up. And I come out the shower. You got to be real with yourself in the shower. It's the best place to be. And I stood up and I said, enough is enough. I will not think about this man again. I cannot change the situation. I'm bringing up my son really well. He's doing very well at school. So I start looking at all the positive things that I'm doing. You see, I've started a new business. I'm feeding the home. As I start thinking those positive things in my head, things starts to change. 9 years later, you know when you meet them, you know, in the supermarket or anywhere else, or with the next woman, you know them, yes? How you doing? I look good. And I feel good. And you smile. You don't know what you've just missed, baby. Yes? I can see that, but And I remember he walked up to me and said, you look good. Yeah. Sorry, I can't say the same about you. Now that's true forgiveness. at work. Because I could speak to him now. It doesn't bother me anymore. I can go out and meet up with them and talk about my son. It doesn't bother me anymore. Do I get up like that every morning? Oh, yes, I do. Because you know why? I changed my mindset. I stopped becoming a victim, but become a victoria through forgiveness. You see, not just reading that book changed my life. I had to take action because I decided enough is enough. I want a better life. These are the things that I put in place. One, I had to identify where my hurt came from. And the biggest hurt was my father. I must take some responsibility. Never used to respect men very much. But guess what? I never respected my dad. Because he is my role model. And when I identified that my relationships with men wasn't working, because guess what? I didn't have a good relationship with my father. When I identified that first problem, I began to feel better. The emotions. Have you gone 1 minute, you're up. Next minute, you're 10 foot down. And then you dug yourself back up again, and you're down. Because guess what? We haven't stopped to check our inner emotions or acknowledge them. I had to do that. Bringing up 2 kids, 2 boys specifically, I needed to teach them to be respectful. My son was here 2 weeks ago. He's 21. Came and sat with me, came and support me. Because I taught him, yes, I can pull you up. And now I tell them, hey, it's me. So now you come and support me, right? But because I dealt with my pain, I dealt with my emotions. You know, many friends, I got there. When you're going through that journey, get somebody who trusts. But I say to you, get a counselor, get a mentor, get a coach, and write things down. I didn't know the journey I took, 2004, that I'd be sitting here writing books. Because guess what? I used to write everything. When I started my healing journey, I wrote things down. I wrote things down. Please, I'm speaking from experience. Forgive yourself. You're number one. You are number one. So you must forgive yourself before you can begin to forgive the next person who has hurt you. You need to forgive yourself to let go the baggages that you are carrying. Because guess what, guys? You know, you're carrying all these baggages. Your wife has left you. The missus around the corner's left you, and the cat too, gone out and left you. So you got all that pain. No. Drop those packages. Leave them alone. Another thing somebody asked me once, when you're carrying pain, you don't see yourself. You don't see yourself. And I remember somebody asked me, do you love yourself? I'm thinking, yeah. But you know what? The question never hit me. Never hit my chest. I didn't understand the word, do I love myself? I never understood the question. And one day I did have to ask that question to myself. And now I can stand up and say, through forgiveness, yes, I do love myself. I do love myself. And forgiveness is definitely the first key, the foundation to your happiness. But I'm going to take happiness alongside and add joy. You see, joy lasts longer. You get up in the morning, you're joyful. You get up in the morning, you're singing. You get up in the morning, you're going to the shower. When you're taking that lovely warm shower, you're not thinking about my ex or whatever else it is. You are laughing. Now that's true forgiveness. It's joy at work. You see what we do? When we don't forgive, we give the person the power. That's what we do. We give them the power and they hold on to that. And what do I mean by that? That we give that person the power? Because you're constantly thinking about that person. You're constantly, everything you're doing, either you're trying to impress them. But guess what? They moved on. So don't give your joy, your happiness to somebody else. You must take your joy. And how you can claim your power back from them is through forgiveness. Through forgiveness. You see? It's lovely, isn't it? Couldn't put it any better. Couldn't put it any better. Wow. Isn't life easy and beautiful? Do you know what? I touched on how could I be broken and go and work with women who are broken. As I healed myself, I can actually stand here and say to you, I love my life. I'm an amazing woman. I'm a successful woman. And I'm going to go far. I can say that because I learned to know who I am and where I want to be. And those of us that got kids, we are the greatest mentor to our children. If you don't forgive, your children will pick that up. So you, as a mother, you need to check yourself and let go of the past. I love my life. Many years ago, if you asked me if I did, I'm going to say to you, what are you talking about? Well, I'm thinking about I've got to pay the mortgage. How am I going to put the food on the table? Do you understand? But now I'm not bothered. Because guess what? The mortgage is going to be there. Guess what? Mr. Gas bill is going to be there. Guess what? Mr. Electricity is going to be there. So, what am I stressing? It's because I know who I am. And I do think like that baby does. I can stand here. My younger son is 21. And I can stand here and say, wow, isn't life amazing and beautiful? I'd like to take this wonderful opportunity. Thank you very much for listening to me. This is my journey. It's in the book. And when you read the book, you'll have 7 steps how I overcome my unforgiveness. So, thank you so much for allowing me. Thank you. My mentor.
Thank you.
My mentor.
Second presentation. That's her second time she's been on stage. So please give her another massive round of applause for that. And the thing is, it's as you can see, it's not planned. It's coming from the heart. You're next. She's looking at me, oh my God, I'm not going to come up there. So thank you so much. Was that inspiring? Yes. Please give another round of applause to the lovely Margaret Thorley. You're going to see a lot more of her on stage.